We will start today's proceedings with a welcome address by Professor Dr. Joydeep Chatterjee, Dean of Jindal School of Art and Architecture.
Okay. Whoa. I'm going to try and be, gets a little in your face. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Jindal School of Art and Architecture. I'm Joydeep Chatterjee, and I have the great task to be the one who says, welcome to the Jindal School of Art and Architecture, right? A very warm welcome, dear incoming class of 2023. Welcome, chief guest for today, Mr. Gopi Krishna Patibanda, who's the chairman and managing director of Phoenix Industries. Welcome, Professor Dr. C. Rajkumar, our Dean Fatigable Vice Chancellor, who's actually attending 12 school commencements, I believe, Raj, right? And you know, over the next day or so, and thus will have to leave us somewhat quickly. Welcome to our registrar, who will shortly be joining us, Professor Sridhar Patnaik. Welcome back to our faculty, some of our senior students who have joined us and helped organize this thing. Welcome to the Jindal School of Art and Architecture, India's first interdisciplinary school of the built environment. You know, it was just the other day when we launched the school. Indeed, the entire first batch, the faculty, the chief guest of our first commencement, all of us fit into a 25-seater aptly named the Big Bang Room. I will let Raj tell you the story behind this name, but look at us today. Just the entering batch, and some of us, fills out this vast and wonderful Performing Arts Academy of JGU. This is quite wonderful. JSAA began with a simple vision: to become one of the foremost centers of learning that will produce a paradigmatic shift in the way we make, study, and manage the built environment. We held and continue to hold 4 ideals close to our heart. Number 1, we want to foster an environment wherein knowledge is a terrain which is as much in the making as the very object it seeks to investigate, contest, represent, and reproduce. We want to provide our learners, and all of us, that means faculty and students, with a multidisciplinary, intellectually rigorous, and open-ended environment where each one of us can chart our own trajectories and reproduce themselves and ourselves as critical and self-reflective agents working with the built environments. We want a place where we can imagine and foster an intellectual framework that moves beyond binary modes of thinking. And number 4, we want to create a place where learning and producing knowledge is through students and faculty collaborating as peers and active agents. Armed with these, JSAA today offers 5 undergraduate majors and more than 18 minor areas of study for its students in collaboration with 12 other schools across JGU. Our students, therefore, have more than 75 major-minor combinations to choose from. This is the first of any school of art, architecture, and design in this country. This year, the school has launched the new B-Design pathway, Immersive Digital Environments. Commencing now, this pathway is designed to train students in augmented virtual environments and develop digital environments. JSAA has also added a state-of-the-art virtual environment lab to its infrastructure. I extend a special welcome to the founding batch of this pathway. This year, we also launched the first and one-of-its-kind international program in architecture between Opal Jindal Global University and the School of Architecture and Built Environment, University of Adelaide. This program will graduate architects who will be eligible for licensure across Australia, New Zealand, India, and through reciprocal agreements across the UK, Canada, and the United States. Right? A very warm welcome to the founding batch of this exceptional and unique program. Our ideals and missions has enabled us to extend our existing programs in architecture, interior environments, and urban environments. We have also extended something called an externship program, in which industry partners offer project-based courses for credits to our students, right? We have more than 100 such partners who do so. Indeed, last year, 2 courses were offered by international partners, coming from Destinopedia in Australia, right? Where students worked with companies to develop homestay and community-based hospitality design solutions. The idea that knowledge is as much in the making as the thing that it tries to study is at the base of the research and curricular work at JSA. Just in the last year, we had the research lecture series, we had the industry interface lecture series, we had the brown bag series, and we had what's called the student lecture series. We had more than 50 such workshops and lectures happen across the school. Indeed, producing knowledge and research is central to the school. Over the last year or so, projects, research and work, design work and projects has showed a 1,200% increase in funding, totaling approximately $2 million US. Our faculty, apart from winning design awards, has produced books, book chapters, Scopus Index articles, other peer-reviewed publications, and has presented across more than 20 research conference papers. We have 3 huge new projects which are funded by external agencies. One of them is by the European Spaces of Culture. Led by JSA's industry partner, this project creates tools and spaces to promote participatory heritage conservation across the country. There is another project which we are doing in collaboration with the National Institute of Urban Affairs. The idea here is that students, faculty from JSAA are working to build inclusive public toilets and prototype them for the Swachh Bharat mission in Uttarakhand first and then across the nation. Right? The project will also develop design guidelines and design advocacy aimed at public works engineers to occupy for the national health management. A huge project titled Smartness as Wealth has received the biggest grant for any school of architecture in this country, which is from the prestigious Volkswagen Foundation, and the grant was for $1.7 million. The research will be global in scope and will look at how wealth and venture capital is reshaping our cities and our built environments. Indeed, our undergraduate students are making waves across the research and the design world. One of our students, Anamika, was the only undergraduate student whose paper was selected at IIT Roorkee's graduate program and PhD program conference program. And it is for the 2nd year in a row that JSA students have been finalists in the International Solar Decathlon Design Project that is held. We have extended and done amazing in terms of our international collaborations. Right? We have launched 2 short-term study abroad programs, one with the Inchbald School in London and one with the University of Virginia. Right? We are also working on similar kind of things with Dalhousie University and Calgary University in Canada. In addition to this, JSA and the University of Virginia have announced their intention to take a multi-year, multidisciplinary research project based in Sonipat, which is going to undertake a comprehensive analysis of water, sanitation, hygiene, urban, and conservation status of this area. We will also be including the University of Tulane, and this is going to commence from this year, and all students are going to be working as part of this. Right? Our promise to give our students the very best of industry interface and experience has resulted in summer and winter internships for our design students with 100%, right? And 100% of the students getting more than 3 choices for their internships in notable organizations such as NIUA, Humankind, DeFi Educational Organization, in fact, all across the world. Such is also true for the Council of Architecture mandated internships for the BARC program students. Finally, in the last year itself, we've added more than 10 partners to its already long list of 100 industry partners which exist for JSA. Notable amongst them is something called UX Reactor, which is a California-based user experience and virtual design consortia of 120 companies. We have also included architects from Bangladesh, from Australia, all of whom have become a part of JSAA. If this, my dear students, friends, colleagues, is where the school is in a short period of time, I would like to end by drawing your attention to a few lines by India's poet laureate of the kind of place of knowledge JSA always strives to be. I'm sure that this is a poem all of you have heard many, many times. It is called Where the Mind is Without Fear by Rabindranath Tagore. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, and I'm going to paraphrase here, let JSA always awake. Welcome all of you to JSA.
Thank you, Professor Chatterjee, for your leadership. I would now like to invite Professor Dr. C. Rajkumar, founding Vice Chancellor, OP Jindal University, to deliver the keynote.
Thank you very much. A very, very good afternoon to all of you, and I would like to extend a warm welcome to all the students, the new students especially, who have joined the Jindal School of Art and Architecture. I almost wondered whether Jaideep has persuaded students from other schools to join this event, because we started off in a very modest manner, the Jindal School of Art and Architecture, and it has really grown in both size and reputation. And the fact that we have a house full of students studying art and architecture and design at the Jindal School of Art and Architecture gives me immense pride. So congratulations, Jaideep, and of course the outstanding faculty members who are part of Jaideep's team. Thank you, Professor Nag, as well as other faculty members who are present here. Today is a very special occasion because we are welcoming the new batch of students into the university across all schools. I was telling our chief guest that in the year 2009, when I proposed this tradition where we will begin the academic session of a school with a commencement lecture, I wasn't ready at that time that there will be 12 schools along with 2 institutes, and we will end up having 14 commencement lectures to be held over 2 days, and I will require my presence in all of them. And that's exactly what I am doing since the last 48 hours, and it's absolutely fun, and the diversity of people is just extraordinary. We had a couple of days ago a judge of the Supreme Court of India coming and speaking on the theme law and life in law for the new nearly 1,000 law students. Just a few hours ago in this hall, we had the cabinet minister from the state of Tamil Nadu, who is himself a graduate from MIT and other institutions, who essentially spoke on my idea of India. And now we have an outstanding, what I would like to call somebody who has created spaces. And I am so amazed by his bio and his work. So let me take this moment to welcome Mr. Gopikrishna Patibanda and his life partner Aparna to OP Jindal Global University. Thank you so much, Mr. Patibanda, for taking time out. He is the chairman and managing director of this organization called Phoenix. And of course, he's going to speak on a topic which is very dear to me, the pursuit of efficiency. But more importantly, his bio immediately it struck something, it appealed to me. Of course, I'm not going to read the full bio, but the second paragraph of his bio is something I am personally interested. It says, Mr. Patibanda's leadership has reduced the slab cycle from 21 days to an incredible 5 days, showcasing his commitment to efficiency and innovation. I want to reduce our slab cycle here in this university when we are building so many things at a very short span of time. So we look forward to talking about it as well. For all the students, let me give you a very brief introduction to this university. This is one of those institutions where there are people who are here who were involved in the building of it. When you end up going to institutions which are 100 and 200 and 300 and 400, and I've studied in 2 institutions which are 400 and 800 years old, you don't meet people who are there at that time, right? But here, you are going to be meeting many people, not just me, who were at the founding and who continue to be here. So the story of this institution is that almost in the year 1998, I got a scholarship to go to Oxford. I was a Rhodes Scholar there. I was a student. I was 24 years old. Before that, I had studied in India, both in Chennai and in Delhi. And when I landed up in Oxford, like how many of you might feel, I was so inspired by what I'd experienced as higher education. I had gone to 2 good Indian institutions, Loyola College Madras and University of Delhi, but little did I experience in those institutions was anything close to what I was experiencing, especially the very vibrant intellectual ecosystem. The professors who taught me were people who had written books which I had studied and read before. So the entire ecosystem of learning was truly transformative. And I began to ask a very simple question: are there institutions in India? And at that time, the master of my college, a man by name Lord Butler, the college is called University College. It was founded in the year 1249, and we were celebrating its 750th anniversary in 1999. And Lord Butler, whenever he spoke, he said, we are at the oldest college in the English-speaking world. And of course, I was curious to ask him. So one day I asked him, listen, you always say this, and tell me more about it. And then he said, no, in your country, in your subcontinent, there were institutions such as Nalanda and Takshashila and Vallabhi and Vikramshila, which were 2,500 years ago higher education institutions. And he was conscious of the fact that Oxford and of course Bologna, which is barely 900 years old, Indian subcontinent had institutions which predates Oxford and Bologna. Such was the extraordinary contribution to civilizational heritage that Takshashila, for example, at its peak had 10,000 plus students and faculty from around the world. Today, the national education policy talks about multidisciplinarity and interdisciplinary learning. Takshashila was precisely doing that. It was a global university with faculty and students from around the world. Such was the extraordinary vision and imagination that created such institutions of higher learning. So India had provided the leadership long before the world did. Of course, both the pre-independent India and the post-independent India saw a very steady decline in both in the quality of education and the kind of efforts to pursue excellence. So this was the context in which the dream of building a university came to me. I, of course, later got a few more fellowships and I went to Harvard. I was deeply inspired by what I saw, especially the idea of a not-for-profit, private philanthropic institutions that Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Columbia, MIT, Caltech, all of them are private universities. And that really inspired me even more. I spent the next decade initially working as a lawyer, then taught in Japan, and then taught in Hong Kong for many years. And in the year 2006, I had the privilege to meet with a young member of parliament, a steel tycoon by name Naveen Jindal. I met him for the first time on 30th October 2006 and spent a year persuading him to do 3 things. 1, to make a substantial financial commitment. 2nd, to do it in a not-for-profit manner. And 3rd, to let me have the academic freedom and autonomy and independence to build a world-class university in India. By late 2007, he agreed to all of it. He was so generous in his thought process. He was conscious of the need to build institutions. He had already fought the big flag case, which led to the the right to fly the national flag for ordinary Indians, not just bureaucrats and ministers. So all of that was in his mind as he envisaged the vision of the university that I was sharing with him. He committed all of that, invited me to move to India early 2008. I moved to India January to April 2008. I was trying to understand India myself as I was returning to India after a decade of living abroad. And very quickly I realized that what an impossible country it is. Nothing works. Systems are so beautifully designed to ensure that nobody can really do anything at all. A relatively mediocre practice of corruption and inefficiency and nepotism had been elevated into a full-fledged science where nobody can actually do anything. But such was the context in which we literally began the journey. I am particularly happy to share this story with the students of the School of Art and Architecture, because you are going to be not just builders, but hopefully institution builders, and in that process nation builders, because the opportunity to create something from the scratch and to envisage its evolution and to be part of its journey is something that only the students of architecture and design can. You should be able to dream about spaces and in that process think about the future. That privilege and responsibility is not available for most individuals, including doctors and engineers and chartered accountants and lawyers and so many others. So in some ways, you are the creative people on campus. I have a lot of expectations from you. I want you to challenge status quo. I want you to help the campus become even more beautiful. And of course, our journey began in a very modest manner, as I mentioned, as late as 27th January 2009, the government of Haryana passed a legislation establishing OP Jindal Global University as the first private university in the state of Haryana. Soon after, I was appointed the first Vice Chancellor, and literally we began the construction of campus in a span of nearly 6 to 7 months. We built over 100,000 square feet of construction of project, one of the fastest construction projects in the post-independent India. Larsen and Toubro literally came into campus and built it, and of course we had unlimited supply of Jindal steel, which essentially created the first 4 classrooms and 1 office space, which is now called the Big Bang Conference Room. We call it the Big Bang because that's all it began. It was my office, the office of the 10 faculty members and the 20 admin staff, and we had housing for those 100 students who joined the university on 30th September 2009. We started with 1 school. We never looked back since then. Year on year, from 2009 onwards, we built a new school, the Business School, the School of International Affairs, the School of Public Policy, the School of Liberal Arts and Humanities, the School of Journalism and Communication, the School of Art and Architecture, the School of Banking and Finance, the School of Environment and Sustainability, the School of Psychology and Counseling, the School of Languages and Literature, and the 12th school, the Jindal School of Public Health and Human Development. We started with 100 students in 2009, and now we are nearly 11,000 students. We started with 10 full-time faculty members, and now we are 1,200 full-time faculty members. We started with 20 administrative staff, and now we have over 2,000 of them. We started with a 50-acre campus, and now we are 100 acres. We started with 100,000 square feet of built-up space, and now we have nearly 4 million square feet of built-up space. Along this expansion and journey, as we move into the 15th year of our evolution, there are 5 things that shaped our vision and continue to shape our mission. First, we are a global university. For us to be a global university means to have a global curriculum, a global course structure, a global program, a global faculty, a global research agenda, all of which promoting global interaction. It means for us to be able to benchmark with the best institutions in the world. It means for us to be building collaborations with universities around the world. It also means for us to be building international partnerships, and we have over 400 collaborations with universities around the world in 75 plus countries, in which we do 10 different forms of collaborations, several of whom which are directly relevant for you, including faculty exchange, student exchange, joint teaching, joint research, joint conferences, joint publications, dual degree programs, short-term study abroad programs, inward mobility immersion programs, and joint executive education programs. For us to be a global university means to recruit faculty from around the world. And so the 1,200 faculty members come from 50 countries in the world, and they are full-time faculty here living and working in Sonipat. Of course, there are faculty from all across India and all Indian states and union territories. The students also come from across India, but also from 60 countries in the world, and that is part of a global community that we've been able to forge here. The second part of our university is a strong commitment to interdisciplinarity, something that the architecture students will appreciate profoundly. In fact, there is something to be said about being part of a larger university, such as this one, as opposed to being part of a standalone architecture school. I am so delighted to see, and recently Jaideep and Gaganpreet, who's our Executive Dean of the Office of what we call Academic Planning and Coordination and Interdisciplinarity, I am so delighted to tell you that the students of architecture are taking courses in the law school, in the business school, in the international affairs school, in the public policy school. We offer over 400 electives every day from 4 p.m. all the way to 11 p.m., which are available for all students, regardless of whichever school or program, and the students of architecture are here studying in some of those courses. The part about the interdisciplinarity is so important for us because even the School of Architecture has faculty from so many different disciplines. In fact, Jaideep makes it a point to hire, sociologists and political scientists and anthropologists and historians and others. And I sometimes get worried and I tell Jaideep, I hope the students can make a building because, I really want architects to emerge out of this, and he has assured me that they do have competence to make buildings. But the larger point here is that the interdisciplinarity is deeply woven into the culture of this institution. And the third aspect of our university is a strong commitment to research, some of which the faculty members of the Jindal School of Art and Architecture are themselves leading. We have 55 research centers and 3 capacity building institutes. We have a fantastic record in our Scopus Index publications, the citation of which has directly helped in our rankings. The fourth is our strong commitment to diversity and inclusion and pluralism in all its forms and manifestations. We have 55% of our faculty members are women, 48% of leadership positions that are held in the schools are women, and of course nearly 50% of our overall student body is also women. And that's something which it doesn't happen accidentally. A lot of effort goes into ensuring the diverse space that need to be constantly created, nurtured, and developed. The other aspect of the diversity is also about providing access to students who can't afford. Our benefactor, Mr. Jindal, has always been very conscious about the fact that how can we do more to build access to students who can't afford. Over 50% of our students are on some form of scholarship or the other. We provide access to students in 2 different ways. One, we reduce the fee structure and keep it as optimal as possible for an institution which has received no governmental funding. Second, we provide scholarships, and in the last over a decade, we have spent 250 crores of Indian rupees towards scholarships, and that's something that we are constantly working to improve further. The last part of what we do is our strong commitment to experiential learning, in which we build the gap between theory and practice, promote experiential learning opportunities, capstone projects, and of course other internship and career services guidance for our students. I want to end by saying that the last 15 years has been a great learning experience for us. But more importantly, it has also helped us to reach where we are today. The QS World University Rankings has ranked our university consistently as India's first ranked private university for the last 3 years. There are nearly 60,000 universities in the world. There are 1,000 universities in India. QS ranks only 22 universities in India, and we are among that. We are among the top 500 in the world as far as graduate employability rankings. We are top 150 in the world when it comes to young universities less than 50 years of age. And the most important part of these benchmarks and milestones is our relatively recent recognition as an institution of eminence. 5 years ago, the Honorable Prime Minister of India made a major public policy announcement with the view to identifying 10 public and 10 private universities and give them the status of an institution of eminence. After a very elaborate and transparent process, 8 public universities and 4 private universities were selected, and we were one among them. We are, of course, the only non-STEM, non-medicine university which has been recognized as an institution of eminence. So this journey that we have covered in 15 years is only the beginning. 15 years, is a very important stage in one's life. If you are a 15-year-old, parents find it very difficult at that time to deal with 15-year-olds. You have been at that time. It's a very important phase of life when one is maturing into an adult, but one is also nimble enough to remain entrepreneurial, risk-taking, and all of that. We have all the characteristics of a 15-year-old. As I look at the future, we are in the process of developing a strategic plan for the next decade. At least my own dream is to move towards STEM. We are looking at establishing the Jindal International Science and Technology Academy, under which we hope to build 10 new schools as we look at the future, none of which is set in stone yet, but we are looking at a school of engineering and technology, a school of artificial intelligence and robotics, a school of data sciences, a school of natural sciences, a school of biotechnology and molecular science, and progressively to build a school of medicine, a school of nursing, a school of dentistry, a school of physiotherapy, and all of that, which will make it a more comprehensive university. And by 2034, which will be our 25th anniversary, our goal is to have the university become a more comprehensive institution. But the good thing about this story that I just told is that this much doesn't cost much, right? You can dream. And that's exactly what I am doing now, dreaming about the future. I only hope that you all join me and my colleagues in this dream to build a future, to be able to make our cities better, to be able to work towards developing sustainable spaces which are also inclusive and safe spaces. And so the idea of architecture and design and art, which is all part of the school, is to essentially challenge status quo and make our society and our spaces much better than what it is. In that sense, you have a unique sense of responsibility towards making things better. And so I am personally very delighted to welcome all the new students of the Jindal School of Art and Architecture. Of course, the students who have been here before, those second and the third and the other year students who are also here today. I sincerely hope that the new academic year, which is beginning today, will be all that you wanted it to be. And also it will enable you to make new friends and learn new things, and also help me and my team help in the process of making this campus even more beautiful. Because one of the things that we are trying to do is to how we can create fantastic spaces which also are conscious of developing different types of infrastructure that is needed, yet make the spaces more beautiful and more livable and more fun. So in that effort, I exhort all of you as students of architecture to share your ideas, to share your perspectives, come back to me with ways by which we can especially make this campus even more engaged and accessible and beautiful and sustainable than what it is today. Thank you and congratulations to each one of you. But I'll stay through for at least 15 minutes.
Thank you so much, Professor Rajkumar, for those inspiring words. We would now be very happy to welcome you to felicitate Mr. Patibanda. And now, without further ado, let me introduce our commencement speaker, Mr. Gopikrishna Patibanda, the Chairman and Managing Director of Phoenix. He is a trendsetter in the construction industry, challenging norms and driving change. He has spearheaded the adoption of prefabricated steel construction and challenged various status quo in the construction and development business, thus revolutionizing the way projects are executed. Mr. Patibanda's leadership has reduced the slab cycle from 21 days to an incredible 5 days, showcasing his commitment to efficiency and innovation. His approach also extends to sustainability as he integrates eco-friendly practices into the company's projects. He has received IGBC Platinum certification for all his projects. His achievements inspires others to challenge the status quo and pave the way for a better future in construction. It gives me great pleasure to invite Mr. Gopikrishna Patibanda to deliver JSAA's 6th commencement lecture titled The Pursuit of Efficiency in Everything That You Do. Please note that we will open the floor for questions after the lecture. Over to you, Mr. Patibanda.
Thank you, everyone. I hope I can keep some of you awake, at least in the conversation I'm going to be making right now. Whatever has been spoken about me in terms of the biodata which has been spoken has been presented because it should look good. But first, I'd like to tell you what I am. I'm an electronics engineer from Pune University. I frankly went in because at that time that was not an option. I was told to do engineering. I went in. It was supposed to be in a 4-year course. By the time I completed, it was 10 years. Okay, so first thing, can somebody complete engineering in 10 years? I think I'm one of the best examples that you can see that even after 10 years, I have not stopped, I completed. While I say all this, I would like to also point out that I'm fairly confident I have not done anything illegal during that time, neither I done anything wrong. It was just that I was too busy to even give exams. I went to college every single day. The college was supposed to have started at 9 o'clock. I've never been in the college later than 7 a.m. But I've never been inside the class. because I was busy doing business. For some reason, I always had somebody who had some requirement and I was able to try and fulfill that. That's how this whole episode of mine has started. Coming to Phoenix, as a brand, Phoenix that I'm representing today in front of you was started by a gentleman who for me happens to be one of the only persons that I would have ever known in this country who's done anything and everything under the gambit of infrastructure, starting from power generation to bridges to flyovers to dams to cement manufacturing to steel manufacturing to alloys manufacturing to everything. So having worked under him and having grown from a normal regular employee without a designation to become a chairman of this company, it purely brought in one single thing I would like to teach each one of you. If there is 1% chance that it can go into your mind today, you should keep it in mind that it's discipline. If you can't have discipline, it is not worth doing anything that you're doing in your life. The most important things that I can tell you in this session, which I had an opportunity to come, having spent my time and come here purely to see if there is a change that I can bring in any one of you. There are some principles that we need to understand. One or two things which are very important for us to understand at this age, crucially because at this time we suddenly feel that whatever we've learned over the past 15 years or 16 years, this is a time to unlearn that. By default, we try to do that. We have been disciplined. If you don't enter the classroom or enter the school at a particular time, you will be thrown out. But now, no, we don't. We go when we want to go. Because now we suddenly got some horns. They've grown out of it because we've come out of our 12th class. Now we can start doing whatever we feel like. That's a attitude which by default comes. How do we counter that and what we should learn? The first thing I'll tell you, I'm not sure how many of you, but majority of you will be knowing one single shloka that you would have heard. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. The point is, Guru is Parabrahma, which is higher than Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwar. The point that we learn from all this, which we have learned all these years of life, is that Guru gives us knowledge. That's how we've learned. Frankly, it is wrong. You need to learn something which is very important in this particular session. I would like to point out, Guru doesn't ever give you knowledge. Guru only tells you what not to do. What to do is something that you have to learn yourself. The Guru gives you the rules. Like say architecture is one of the best examples where if everyone is going to be learning the same knowledge that the Guru gives, everybody else will build the same buildings across the world. It doesn't work like that. What you are supposed to do is learn the rules of the business. Within that rules, how do you build? Each one of you has a different team, different approach, different method of trying to build. So all of that comes purely because you learn what not to do. What are the rules of the game? People will tell you, Guru will tell you that you are supposed to walk on the left side of the road only, in India especially. You cannot walk on the right side, you might suffer an accident or something. So, but on the left hand side of the road, which direction do you want to go? North, east, south, west is depending on you. That's how you are supposed to learn. This is a very key factor that we have not been taught all of our life. Guru doesn't give you knowledge. That's a point that you need to learn. 3 factors which can help. It doesn't take much time. If you can just spend 2-3 minutes in your lifetime focusing on these 3 things. Discipline, efficiency and serve. These are 3 words. Very simple words. I'm not very good at English and I can tell you I'm not a very great learned person, but whatever experience I have, when I come back, these are the 3 things which have helped grow an organization like Phoenix, which was when 2001 when we started. The principle was very clear. In the last 22 years of our existence, we have not bought a single square yard of land, but we have built much more than 40 million square feet. We are one of the largest special economic zone developers in the country. And not owning a single square yard of land, that speaks a lot purely because people have believed what we are capable of. If we can't sell to a landowner that I am capable of doing something good, there is no business for me. And if I can't sell my business to an equity partner, there is no business for me. If I can't sell to a banker to give me debt, there is no business to me. Having dealt with all these people, customer is the easiest thing for me to do. If all of these people have believed that I am capable, yes, I can sell. You are all going to get into this kind of a business and you are going to be selling your services in whichever capacity, whatever division that you are going to get into. But remember always, the one thing which will help you sell is going to be discipline. At some point, this discipline, the same thing that you do again and again, will help you do it a little more efficiently. That efficiency helps you perform much better to save time. While you save time, what you are supposed to do? You are supposed to serve others. It's important to provide your time to serve others also, because the world gives it back to you. It's a very small circle of life. We are born, we will survive, we are going to die. All of us. There is no exception to it. What is it that we do during the course of this time? The first initial 20 years or 22 years, there is something called as learning. Frankly, in this learning process, there is not much except for the bookish knowledge of indexed method of learning something that we do. But once we get into the world, that's when we start facing troubles. That's when we start understanding how to wriggle out of those things. Everyone has a different way of coming out. Somebody might come out by crying, somebody might come out because somebody has pushed him, somebody has come out because he was able to run through it. Each one of you should always be those people who has run through the problem, not away from the problem. Coming out of it has to be in a positive way. Remember always, you are going to be facing a lot of problems all your life. But one thing which will always sort of help you in coming out is that there is a problem, you will find a way to resolve. But if you consider that the other person is a problem, you will never be able to resolve it. You will continue to feel the same pain always. Remember to sort of resolve problems. Every single day, you are going to be doing most of the time the same things again and again. But within that timeline, there is going to be a fixed schedule. While you are going to be in colleges, there is a fixed schedule. You have to go to colleges, you have to have lunch, you have to go study. Then there is a time available for you to chit chat, and there is a lot of time for you to do gossiping. The best time that you actually feel is gossip. Remember, gossip is not going to take you anywhere, but you need to take it out. You obviously need to take it out. If there is one formula which has helped me in growing my organization from a 50,000 rupees capital to almost about a 50,000 crore company today, it is purely because we avoided gossip. We didn't have time for gossip. Anyone who comes to me with a problem, if he is talking about any other person, I will say, let the other person be there, then I will resolve, otherwise I will not even talk to you. During my college time also, during my school time, like I said, one of the things about discipline is this also. So my school was always at about 8:45 a.m. I grew up from one small town, Vijayawada, in Andhra Pradesh. Not such a great name. I have not been so educated, like I said, but I have never been to school after 5 a.m. I don't know why, but I always used to reach school by 5 o'clock in the morning because I had so much of time. I used to play. I was one of the only students who was allowed by the principal, even with shabby clothes and not polished shoes, because every single person in the school knew that this fellow comes at 5 in the morning and plays in the school. Even if I am alone, I play alone. But I never wanted to waste my time.
What game?
All kinds of games. I started with volleyball. Slowly some neighbor comes and says, I want to play table tennis, I'll play table tennis. Somebody comes with basketball, I'll play. I was not good at anything. But I always wanted to just spend my time or energy in positive things, because see, technically you sit with two people, you gossip about somebody else. And that is draining energy. That is negative energy. But it's very tough to avoid gossiping, because that's what is masala for us. And today, a lot of masala which is available for us on phones. While we grew up, we didn't have that kind of a thing. So we need to, with the advent of technology, we need to also address the situations in the same manner. While I grew up, I didn't have a phone. But today, all of you have phones, but that should be used in a very positive way. Be happy. Happiness comes out of a lot of things. But if you are choosing your happiness out of somebody else's suffering or somebody else's negative energy, that is going to take you nowhere. One of the key factors is that your time is so beautiful. You like spending time with some friends. Every day, every week, you are going to be spending a lot of time, the next 2 years or 3 years or whatever time that you are going to be studying. Possibly somebody like me who is going to be studying for 10 years the same course. All of you guys will have a lot of time to spend with people that you feel good about. You feel good about because you don't feel threatened by them. But that threatening factor doesn't come purely because you believe them. One fine day, we having seen so many pictures, so many movies, all these trusted people, when that fellow doesn't know that his back is towards you, He's talking to somebody else, he makes a very wrong comment, the next day he's not a friend of yours anymore. That is purely because he's gossiping. We waste our time, energy on gossip, which we ourselves do in front of somebody else, but when our own friend gossips about us to somebody else, we find it wrong. But all of it comes to nothing. It is not valued at anything at all. Like what they said, one of the things that I keep telling my teams is, when we started with a 21-day slab cycle, it is more to do with the fact that I had sleepless nights. The kind of discipline that I wanted, it never happened. Nobody believed. Not a single person believed that whatever you are talking is going to happen. If they could believe I could have performed better, is the assumption that I come with. But for me, not to be able to convince my team itself is a Herculean task. It's not an easy task. But my problem was, when you do RCC buildings, somebody as a laborer is sitting on top of the slab, tying the steel, and the rods are being done, and then concreting is being done on top. Not a single educated person is standing on the slab. Only once a staircase is completed, once the building is done, then I go for an inspection. How am I guaranteed that an uneducated person who doesn't even know how to do it, only by way of practice, he is coming in, and I am not sure if that laborer is practiced enough to even tie the rods. How do I sleep, not knowing if my building is going to stand or not? I've got somebody as a good architect has designed, good consultant has given me a design, but can I sleep like this? I can't. I have tried almost all kinds of technologies in the world, and having frozen to a steel building, one of the key factors is, today sitting here, I can tell you there are 16 buildings of mine being constructed in Hyderabad city. At any given point of time, without even seeing the building, I can tell you here that so much of slabs are going on, which slab is going on, which grid is under construction, and how many beams must have been erected, and how many columns must have been erected, purely because you can engineer it in your office and get it erected by somebody, and it is purely mechanical. Because they know rocket science. When column is there, 4 beams, 4 columns, and practically you are just bolting it. And the bolt doesn't get erected into it completely. If the torque has not been achieved, then it is not a complete thing. So sitting on my computer today, I can make out if the building can be done on time and in the correct method or not. We have the technology helping us. You guys today are learning architecture at a time when there is a computer available to you, and it is 90% of the work it is being done by a computer. And possibly you have the ChatGPT is coming up, giving you a lot of help in terms of presentations which can be done, but I can tell you they are not authorized. But unless and until you learn it yourself, you will never be able to perform and survive in a hard business that you are going to be facing in the whole world. Today in India, sitting here, we demand, when I'm paying money, I demand the best of the possible architects in the world to come and perform for us. Today we worked with almost about 50 different countries from which architects have come, try to sell their services to us. It's not an easy task to be able to provide your services and survive through this business. There must be at least about 100,000, I'm just roughly saying, 100,000 or 200,000 architects coming up every year to perform. Do you think it's going to be practical for each one of you to get an opportunity to do an independent building of your own? I don't think so, unless and until we are smart. And like I said, if we learn better, if we use our knowledge better, and if we are going to be visible to be able to serve better, then you get an opportunity. What everybody does, if you are doing, then you don't stand a chance. You are going to be just run-of-the-mill guy, so okay, fine, you also have an opportunity, but how do you, each one of you, how do you get an opportunity to do something different? To think in that direction is not an easy task, for which you need to be extremely disciplined. Unimaginable discipline is required in doing whatever you're doing. And this is the time, if you can formulate a system for yourself while studying, while you are growing, that you can have a discipline for yourself, then I'm sure you can never fail in life. There is never going to be a failure. The best example, I'm not sure how many of you will know, but Lord Hanuman. I'm sure you will know Lord Hanuman. He is the best example or the best case study for the whole world to understand the meaning of success. He is the only example under all the stories that you can listen where he has been successful in every single act that he has taken up. And what are the reasons for it? 1, he didn't perform for his own self. 2nd, he believed the person that he was working for, and for that purpose, when he had that conviction, he performed every single time. Lord Hanuman is the best example for each one of us to try and sort of reach out in such a way that any activity that you take up, if you are in a position to sort of understand the importance of making it happen, and you have the discipline and try to be as efficient as possible, and I can tell you, you will never fail. There is no question of failure, and these are small examples. You will be facing unimaginable issues. I was a very short kid when I joined college, and I was in the midst of almost about all 6 footers. I must have been like 5 foot 4 inches or 5 feet 5 inches. But the kind of threat I was feeling with all these North Indians, I was a South Indian short guy coming in. There was a lot of pressure that I was facing from a lot of North Indians who were too tall and very overpowering. Language I didn't know. I couldn't speak Hindi. One of the first word, or rather 2 words that I've learned, which I was very excited about, was Gila and Sukha. I never understood what is dry, what is wet. So it took me a lot of time to understand those words. So from there it started. And possibly today I might be able to converse in Hindi as well. But I can tell you, during that time, the threat was to be able to get recognized. How do I actually perform in such a way that I become the center point? What I've realized is, by being disciplined, by being able to sort of do the same things efficiently, and to have time to be able to serve others, that one point made me so unique in the whole class that every single person in my class used to come to me. I was the shortest leader during the tenure of our college. And that helped. It was just a confidence. अंदर से फट रही थी, चांस ही नहीं था, बट किसी को बोल भी नहीं सकता हूँ कि बस फट रही है. बट when I show the exterior part of it, I show bravery. And I can tell you, each one of you needs to carry that. Nobody knows. अंदर क्या चल रहा है किसी को मालूम नहीं है. You might be shitting in your pants, but on the exterior, you need to literally showcase that, but I am strong. Nobody can bully you. जो bully कर रहा है उसको मालूम है कि आप you are not going to retaliate. When I say bully, it's not about general things. You are going to be facing this all your life. Remember always that if you are right, you are not going to take it sitting. You are going to stand up, even if you are too short, if the person is too tall, you will still be able to face it. You will find that courage in you, because anyways you are going to be beaten. Might as well get beaten by having that courage than to run away. Nothing is going to happen. That same example will work with you in your day-to-day things also. You have to learn the correct method of doing business. Whatever you are learning, if you are not interested in going to the class, boring है, 1 घंटा उधर बैठना है, टीचर क्या बोल रहे समझ में नहीं आ रहा. But still I am saying, try to see what you can do to focus. If there is 1% chance that you might get something that you can tag along, that one thing can pull you out. I can tell you one example. A plus b whole square. I am sure all of you must be aware. A plus b whole square is a square plus b square plus 2ab. कहाँ यूज़ होता है भाई? आज तक ज़िंदगी में किसी ने मेरे को बोला ही नहीं है कि ये कहाँ यूज़ होता है. क्यों बोल रहे? पाइथागोरस थ्योरम ए स्क्वायर प्लस बी स्क्वायर इक्वल. क्यों सीखा? Why should I learn this? What is the purpose of it? If you don't understand the purpose of using this, which all of your teachers may not be able to tell you because it's not such an easy task, but you need to find your own ways of doing it. And I want you guys to know that the uniqueness that I was able to find out, there was a property that we developed. And the policy of the government was 25 acres is the minimum guideline to build a special economic zone. In that 25 acres, we were the first IT special economic zone in the country. Having taken permission, the first building was constructed. There was a parliamentary committee which was sent to check if this follows, not just me, in the whole country. They wanted to check if we are taking tax benefits, we are doing fraud, or what we are doing. So there was a team which was sent. So this parliamentary committee, before coming to Hyderabad, they checked with the local government authorities, give me all the parameters of the special economic zone, check and let us know. The first parameter was land. When we took permission, the land was 25.86 acres is what we presented. When this parliamentary committee came to check what was the extent of land, they were given a notice saying that it is 24.7 acres, literally about 1.16 acres less. Before even coming to my site, the parliamentary committee issued a show cause notice to us saying, you guys are fraudulent people, we should blacklist people like you, we should get you arrested, you have defrauded the country by taking up a lot of tax benefits, you are not the correct people to be doing business in this country. There was a notice which was issued. The whole organization that we were working in was literally shaken. I was not in the country, I was sitting somewhere in Malaysia. Somebody shared that notice to me saying that the land extent was supposed to have been 25.86, your land extent is only 24.7. The only thing I asked is, please get me an appointment with the parliamentary committee. You won't imagine, not a single person wanted to meet me because they already had an impression which was formed, which said, this fellow is a fraudulent guy, why we should meet. Are you coming to meet us to sort of give us some bribe to pull it off again? They didn't give me. Literally during that time, an ex-prime minister came to help us because I got an opportunity to go and explain the problem to him. He laughed at me and he said, I will get you an opportunity. Boys like you, at that time I was a boy. Today I am a father of 2 children, but then at that time they said, boys like you should get an opportunity. And on that day, the ex-prime minister was given a complete brief that this kid has finished his engineering in 10 years also. It was not that he was given a great brief about me. But during that course, finally I got an appointment. And when I went inside, I asked for a board, a pen and paper. And the first thing I wrote on the board was Pythagoras theorem. A square plus b square equal to c square. And frankly, that day, all these people, whoever were there, not all of them were so educated. There was one gentleman who was a physics professor, who was a member of parliament. That gentleman saw that and he asked me, what is the relevance of this? Why are you showing us? You show us where is the land. I said, the land is there. He said, no, we verified it is 24.7. I said, no. When the land I took for development, at that time the land was 25.86 acres. And there were hills on top. When I dug the hills, the land extent came down. Why? Because the hypotenuse is always higher than the right angle. The a square plus b square equal to c square. The c square is the hypotenuse. So you are actually talking about usage of this one on a daily basis. Every single day of my life, I have been using this because when I take 1 acre of land and there is a hill on top, if I dig that hill and pull it down, the land extent comes down, depending on the height of the hill. Obviously, by the time I start construction, I am already aware that the land is not there. Very simple principle. Having said this, I was recognized and the show cause notice was withdrawn and I was given the Best Business Model Award by the Prime Minister at that time purely because I gave them clarity on usage of a square plus b square equal to c square. Nothing else. What was there? Rocket science, nothing. This is something that we use on a daily basis. But being recognized for such a small thing is the game. All of you guys are going to be facing unimaginable situations in future. This is a great part of your life. There is no responsibility, nothing. The only responsibility for you to is wake up on time, preferably brush yourself and wash yourself. Not all of them might be doing it daily because they might be feeling lazy, but preferably, if possible. Anyways, the college is providing the infrastructure. Water is free, I'm sure, and the rest of it you'll have to find your own sources. But make sure that use your time efficiently. This is an opportunity for you. I gave example of why I became famous, such a small thing. There's so many things that you can do in your life. Great opportunities come up to your chance, but unless you take them, you will fail. Each one of you has to play a single role, at least, in making this country proud. One of the factors remains that I am not still excited about having reduced the slab cycle from 21 days to 5 days. Today I am telling you that we will achieve a slab cycle of 1 day per slab. We will do that in this country and it will become an example for everyone in the country and the whole world will observe. We might be doing a 300-storied building at some point and that 300-storied building will be constructed in 300 days. That's our target. We should do that. We all should actually try to do something different. Where is that excitement? If you are not excited about doing something, why are we serving? Only to sort of just gossip and sort of enjoy your life for another 5 years, 10 years, we are going to die. What is the purpose? We are going to give an example to the next generation. Each one of us has to have that excitement with us. And I can tell you, it doesn't stop there. Possibly having achieved a 1 day slab cycle, I may not stop. I might get to 2 slabs per day. I might try to keep. That's efficiency. There will come a time when people say, you die or we will die. But until the time that we die, we have no choice but to keep becoming more and more efficient. I can tell you one of the first buildings that we did was costing us about 9 kgs of steel per square feet. So over a period of time, in the last 11 years, we brought it down to roughly about 5.4 kgs per square feet. So will the building stop there? And we can't build a building with 0 kgs per square feet steel. Obviously, it will come to a point where the bare minimum that we achieve. Having achieved it, we should try to sort of continue to keep doing exactly the same thing. What you guys need to realize is that I've learned the hard way that irrespective of whatever efficiencies that I try to do, the whole industry across the world is working on 50% wastages. 50% of the building is waste. I'll give you one small example for this lecture for you to understand the importance of it. A lot of architects have been working with the kind of supply chain which happens. We tend to lose a lot. On the first day, when there is, for example, there is a lobby which has been designed, and that lobby has been designed with flooring as marble. The budget has been given, and everybody comes back with some value saying that, sir, this is the bill of quantities, everything is given, we are ready for implementation. The budget must have been given at say 1 crore, but by the time the project is completed, we come to know it is 1.5 crores, and no single person has done any fraud anywhere, nothing has gone wrong, but I have spent 50 lakh rupees more. Where has it gone? It's a very simple thing. What happens? The architect defines the slab, and he actually gives you the marble design with 8 feet by 4 feet because he feels the lobby will look good with a 8 feet by 4 feet marble. But the marble size comes in 10 feet by 5 feet. If you actually cut it into say 8 feet by 4 feet, it is only 32 square feet out of 50, which means that there is a wastage of more than 52%. Very few people will even get into that understanding. But then I am wasting money. But if I were to design, the same architect sitting like you, if you guys were smart enough, you would have actually saved much more. How do you do it? It's a very simple thing. The slab size should be done at 4 feet 8 inches by possibly a 9 feet 6 inches. That 4 and 6, there is a relevance to it because even when you cut it, you can start using that also as skirting. So efficiently if you do it, the wastage could come down to literally 2%. How many people are smart enough to be able to showcase to your client that these are the advantages that I can give you when I am designing your building? That 50% wastage is not a joke. You can Google it, you will find it. The whole globe is working on 50% wastages. They find these problems. I have found some problems, but there will be still another 20 problems. But as an organization or as a team, as a single person, each one of you, if you can reduce that wastage by even 2%, you are saving so much for the client and it helps you grow in life. Remember always, you have to be different. Each one of you has to be different in your own way. From whatever you learn the rules, try to change the concept in which you try to perform. This is the best that I can give you for today. Thanks a lot. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Okay. Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Patibanda, for those valuable insights. The floor is now open for questions. Please raise your hands and a mic will be given to you. And we encourage our students to ask questions. Also faculty, yeah.
Thank you. This was really enjoyable, and I can hear the wisdom of life that you are really sharing with us. That's not what I expected, sorry, but I'm positively surprised at it. I was thinking about only professional thoughts. My question for you is, let's imagine you have real drive, you're really passionate about something, you're doing something very unique. How do you convince someone of something that he doesn't need? We all know a lot of buildings are constructed without architects. Now let's come to interior design, for instance, which is my field in historic buildings. It sounds like a total, luxury that nobody needs. How do you get someone to pay for something that you feel really passionate about? How do you convince something that he doesn't need?
Like I said, our business itself is about convincing. When I go to a landlord, I have to convince him that he can share the land to me by not taking 1 rupee, but allowing me to start borrowing money on top of his land. I'll give you one example. We've taken a land recently, which is about 5 acres of land worth about 500 crores. On that, I suggested to him, when I presented to him, that I will build something and the value of it will come to him as his share after 3 years or 4 years as 1000 crores. So he will calculate that even if I sell it for 500 crores today, and having paid taxes, I use that money for some other purpose, and I can still make money out of it. He has hundreds of options based on which he will start evaluating and comes back to say that, okay, fine, your proposal seems to be good. Then he will sign up with it. It's not an easy task. But when you say that to be able to convince somebody to pay for the service, the biggest thing is that service is being provided in ample in this whole world. There are a lot of service providers. There's unimaginable competition. Typically what happens as an architect, once they come, we try to tell somebody that, okay, give us the concept. So there'll be 5 or 6 architects who will come and present the concept, and whichever we like, we pay to them. So during that process of evaluation, there could be a lot of reasons why people actually choose. One of the reasons could be very simple. The girl who's presenting is looking good, so I have chosen. Not because the building design is coming out good or nothing at all. There could be, people take stupid decisions for whatever purpose. But the best example will be for when there is a genuinity in a particular person that he has to do a building and he wants to do it in a safe manner. Then comes the factor that why he should do business with you. So in that scenario, the smartness plays that if you can value your own work in such a way that you can present to him, like I said, how do you present yourself to be different from all the others? We do that on a daily basis. I do buildings, right? So when we go to a customer, the customer has 10 other developers who are presenting to them. Why they should? One of the factors remains that the customer says there's a client on this side of the road, my land value could be like 50 crores per acre. On the other side of the road, the land value goes down to 10 crores per acre. But somebody sitting in the US is taking a decision. For him, it is that per square feet of rent that he's paying. For me, the factor is, for him, the cost of building is much lower than mine. So he's also used the best of the possible architect. He's also done it. So it's always about how smart we are to structure a deal. I'll give you one example. The last time I did a transaction with a client, I asked for a 55 rupees a square feet rental value, and the competition that I had was suggesting 40 rupees a square feet as rental value. He said, Gopi, why we should pay you 55 when I am getting it at for 40 rupees? I said, my 55 is equal to 40 rupees. So you sign me for 40 rupees, I'll sign up. The method of calculation for me was very simple. I said, for a period of 10 years, if you are paying the first two years, don't even pay me any rent, but the total value in a span of 10 years will come to the same value, but I have to show a benchmark of 55, without which I cannot survive because of my bankers, because of my equity partners, and there is a valuation system. So for every single business case, we have to showcase that our value is different. One of the first businesses I did with one of a very large movie star like Dharmender in North India. We have one South Indian movie star. The gentleman, I offered him some deal. I gave him 28% of the total development I'll give you as your share. And he said he liked my proposal, he signed up. On the day we got the document registered, on that day, during the walking in the evening time, he met 3 other developers, very famous developers, locally. And they come from his industry, movie industry. He trusts them. All 3 of them, in 3 different situations, have told him that Bas Gopi has done something fraudulent with you. He's not the right guy. We will give you 50%, and you should actually take back the land. He came back, he asked me, Gopi, that they said they can give 50%, why you are not giving me 50%? I said, forget their 50% and my 28%, I'll give you back my land, you go ahead and do whatever you want to. He said, no, first you tell me what happened. I don't want to sort of think for life that I bet on a wrong horse. So what happened, these guys, when they asked me, I said, please ask them for their 50%, what is the value that they can give? He said, okay, fine, whatever they tell. I said, what will you give? I said, don't ask me, you ask them. Their 50%, if they give you a value, against that my 28% value, if you understand, then you do business with me, else you leave it. He went back to them, he asked, they said, we can't guarantee that how much we can give, but 50% of whatever we construct, we'll give you. So that 50% could be at what value? I asked him to specifically ask, will they give 50 crores for that 50%? You ask for it. He asked, they said, no, we can't tell if it is 50, it could be 100, it could be 20, but whatever is the 50% of the value which can come, we will give you. He comes back and he asks me, for 28%, what is it that I will get? I said, but I'll give you a guarantee for 200 crores. That's how business is done. So their 50% is not even valued at 50 crores, whereas my 28% is valued at 200 crores. The confidence with which we speak and give the example and present it in a manner, the customer should not have a choice but to do business with you. It's always about how they present. See, we keep testing ourselves, even at this stage, just because I'm doing a business of some 50,000 crores or 60,000 crores. During the COVID time, my wife went and bought one sari. During COVID time, a very tough time to even go and go outside only. During that time, she bought a sari. She comes back, I was sitting alone at home, no work, nothing, I had to test something. She's already negotiated, she got a 20% discount on the sari. I said, okay, fine, let me try. I don't know who's the guy who's selling. He started by saying, sir, I am saying during a COVID time, during this COVID time, I'm not surviving. So whatever profit I had, I've already given. So there's nothing. He started by saying it. It took me about 35 minutes for me to bring down that value that he gave at 20% discount from 1,96,000 to 1,40,000 rupees. If I had another half an hour, possibly I would have gone to 1 lakh rupees. But I became impatient. For 50,000 I have saved, gone. So, but we have to sharpen our skills. It's always about, all situations are different. We need to find ways and means of trying to convince the other party. At some point or the other, you'll get into a very tight situation where you may not know the path, but if you're not smart enough, you will not get business. I'm not sure if I was able to answer your question in a correct method or not, but...
Other questions? Yes. Can you give us the mic?
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for your speech, first of all. So my question is to build the business that you've built right now. You would have had to take so many decisions like every single day. And as students of architecture and like design, we are also preparing ourselves to take decisions. So if you could give us like some factors that we would need to keep in mind before taking decisions, it will be very helpful.
When you talk about decisions, no, I'll tell you one thing which is an example. I'll just give you a quote of Swami Vivekananda. He was a very good disciple of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. When during the holidays after the Gurukul, everybody was going back home, so he told all the students, every single student, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, after coming back from holidays or while coming back from holidays, get me ek muthi bhar ka, like one grape of rice. Everybody felt will bring. But he said one point, nobody else should know. When they came back from holiday, every single person brought it, but for Vivekananda. He was not able to bring it. He said, sir, I tried my lot of times I've tried, but there is a separate person sitting inside. There is something called a self-consciousness. We are human beings. That's a different entity. We are the only ones, and no animal has that, but we have. That will always tell you what to do, what not to do, what is the right thing to do. We can depend on our own self-consciousness to tell you the right thing to do, but we will always bulldoze and do what we feel is convenient for us. So first decision for us to understand is what is the decision, like you say, no? The best part about businesses is to not take decisions. It's a very tough thing, but as the chairman of the company, I never take decisions. I enable my people to do their work. They come to me, they expect an easy solution. If I start giving them solutions, every day they'll come and make me busy. My job is to be there just in case something goes wrong. While things are going in the right direction, no decisions are required. Establish a perfect system so that everyone is enabled to perform on their own. If they are performing what they are supposed to perform, no decision is required. Secondly, decisions are always supposed to be taken while taking both sides of the story. Never take one side of the story and take a decision. That's a single point agenda that we need to. Somebody comes and tells you this is what can be done. There is a relevance with some other party also. Call them, sit with both of them, understand the importance of it, then take a decision. Never take a decision hearing one side of the story. That's the only thing I can suggest you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Hello, thank you for the lecture. My question is this: in the spirit of the title of this lecture, what are some of the things you ensure in your office or your office space to ensure an efficient work environment? This could be some of the practices you employ on a regular basis, or some of the strategies. Could you go over it?
So I'll tell you, for every single business case, like say today when you're talking about, the easy example will be office spaces, or say for example residential. See, in residential, there are some standards that are supposed to be followed. Across the globe, there are some standards. If you are designing a house, that house can be designed in a 2-grid or a 3-grid format. So while you're actually drawing lines, it's very easy to sort of formulate those. Within those 3 grids, you need to understand one or both sides of the grid could be fixed for private areas. There will be one grid which will be the larger area. The definition is always given by increasing the private areas to be smaller than the larger one. There are definitions. As long as those definitions are being followed, as long as your checklist is being followed, you will never fail. In our organization, when we try to give everybody, we upfront define what are the rules that need to be done. Within those rules, you can play. So, for example, slab to slab height. For all the services, there should be a planning in place that, okay, for all the services also to be accommodated and still have a clear volume of air, you need to have a 4.05 meter slab to slab height. Slab thickness has to be fixed. Everything is prefixed. So there is nothing for you to deviate. As long as the rules are right, there is not much for you to do except to follow the rules and try to design the correct way of doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patibanda, once more. I would now like to invite Professor Dabiru Sridhar Patnaik, Registrar, to deliver the concluding remarks.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. It's a great pleasure, as always, welcoming students back to the campus, and of course, faculty members, and in particular, the newly admitted students who joined the School of Art and Architecture, which is doing exceedingly well under the leadership of Professor Jaideep Chatterjee and his able team of faculty members. We are indeed so grateful to Mr. Gopi this afternoon because his lecture is not just about art and architecture, but it is about life in general and what lessons we could learn in order to do well in life, because it's simply not the pursuit of efficiency which is important, but it's also the pursuit of efficiency with happiness in whatever we do, whatever we choose to do. Probably in the field of architecture or lawyering, teaching, fishing, writing poetry, or even not doing anything, but that shall be like from the bottom of our hearts as to whatever we intend to do. We should do that with all earnestness, and that's the message that I sort of gathered from his talk, and I'm sure that you all will get inspired by what he had mentioned based out of his own lived experiences. In addition to that, the Vice Chancellor and even the Dean of the school vividly outlined about what this university is doing, what it stands for, and the work of the School of Art and Architecture as well. So it's very important for each one of you to fully understand the nature of the OP Jindal Global University, which is a very good place of ideas. And I want you to take advantage of the learning opportunities, both curricular, co-curricular, and extracurricular that you have over here. But at the same time, I appeal to each one of you to display a responsible university citizenry, because we do have a diversity of people coming from all around the country and even from around the world and different cultures. So it's very important that you fully follow the university regulations and you also respect your peers and every other individual who is associated with the university and even otherwise. And that, I believe, is going to bring in greater efficiency and joy during your stay over here. On this particular note, I wish you all good luck as you begin your new academic semester here at the university, and I'm thankful to the Dean for having invited me to be a part of this lecture, And in particular, we are grateful even to the speaker for addressing all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Patnaik. I would now like to invite Professor Anindita Nag, who is a professor at JSAA, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Alok Padna. So, very good afternoon to everyone. And on behalf of the School of Art and Architecture, I would like to extend a hearty vote of thanks to our chief guest, Mr. Gopi Krishna Patibanda, the Chairman and Managing Director of Phoenix, for accepting our invitation and for being here with us today. I would also like to thank our Vice Chancellor, Dr. C. Rajkumar, our Registrar, Professor Patnaik, and the Dean of the School of Art and Architecture, Professor Joydeep Chatterjee. A special mention to the Student Council and the support staff for the complete preparation of this program, and not to forget Professor Alok Padna Sengupta for beautifully anchoring the program. Last but not the least, a big thank you to all the students and faculty for making this event memorable for us. So finally, a very warm welcome to the class of 2023, and I wish you all a great day today. Thank you.